Hello, how are we doing? Euclid's being very cute, so I thought you'd rather watch him than me. He's a snoozy boy. So, we are playing this today. Apparently it's quite short, so either it'll be a short stream, or we'll get really stuck and it'll be a long stream, or I might play 2 games. We'll see how we go.
Good afternoon and welcome to Different Currents, the Twin Cities' only weekly alternative music show. I'm afraid we have some bad news to start the show with. Luke Jackson, once of legendary local band Pony Parade, was involved in an automobile accident on Tuesday down in Nashville.
Hi, Josh. How are you?
Yeah, hi Lucy. Not so good, mate. Laurie and I just got back from Nashville to see Luke, and he's totally out of it. Doctors say it could go either way.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, look, Luce, I've been thinking about this a bit. This book you've been writing on Luke and I really want you to finish it. I really do. I just don't think I can give you anymore. It's taken a bit too much out of me, and I hope you've got enough, and I hope you can, piece it together. And one more thing, Luce, please be fair on Luke. I know what people think of him, but I owe him everything. I hope people realise that it wasn't always like this. We were friends.
Okay, Josh. I understand.
So I think this is a bit like Roottrees-like, in that we've got to piece stuff together. How to complete the story of Josh and Luke by matching chapters in Lucy's book to the appropriate titles. The story is divided into 5 sections with 6 chapters each. You can find out the appropriate titles by reading text, listening to audio extracts, looking at images, and more. When you've found the answer, click on the chapter to select a title. The game will let you know when you've got 5 correct. Finally, the game is date accurate, so the time it depicts. Some clues may refer to real events or places, so you may need to do some detective work outside of the game. Huh. Okay. Let me just... I don't have any options. Sound effects off is all I've got. So I apologise if the sounds are too loud or too quiet or anything. But I can't change them, which is a bit sad. So Ramsey Senior Prom, July 22nd, bands Pony Parade, Mother Lover, Dead Worm. Cool. Yeah, I produced this now legendary record. I'm also Karen's uncle. She's a really good player on tour with all these stars. Really should be doing a book about her. Anyway, when I first met the band, they were pretty raw, but they had these voices. They were only about 18, but man, both guys could sing. They had a great drummer and steel player, and it's no surprise that people still talk about them around here. Josh was pretty quiet for most of the sessions. Luke was running the show, calling all the shots. I know he has this reputation as some kind of kook, but he was always charming, polite, listened to what I had to say. He was already trying out that southern thing, and you know what they say about people from the south, they've got manners. The band worked real hard. They were like professionals, heads down, concentrated all the time, and when the guys sang together, it was like there was electricity in the air. I never saw the band play live, but I figure it's pretty much like that. We put out the record on my label, a tiny imprint at the start of the year. New Year. Things were pretty slow until I put in a call to my buddy Al down at KXXR. They started playing them regularly through the spring, and then Rolling Stone came a knocking. You know, as much as it was a shame what happened to the band, look at all the music that came out of that. I like to think I played some small role in making it happen. Dear Lucy, thanks for reaching out. I actually live next door to Karen and see her when she's not touring with Bonnie Tyler. Happy to help. I was a friend of Luke and Josh in high school and after when Utah Honey got that review in Rolling Stone a few months after their record came out, saying they were the best young band in America. Luke got it into his head that the band needed to start touring right away, like as soon as possible. They needed someone to organise the tour and asked me, though I had no experience. We were due to play in St. Paul, Milwaukee, Duluth, Sioux City, and lots of other Midwest dives with bad scheduling. This meant sometimes we drove through the night and the next day just to reach the venue in time. The food starts to weigh you down after a while. Driving through Wisconsin was particularly bad, if I have to even think about a Culver's Butterburger again. The shows were always terrible, and the guys were getting in a worse mood every day. Eric was particularly upset. Finally, things came to a head in Grand Marais, right on the Boundary Waters. Luke thought that someone in the crowd was looking at Karen funny and leapt off the stage to tackle the guy. So this guy and his buddies come charging at the whole band. We had to leave our gear and run for the van like that Almost Famous movie, but a lot less fun. It was brutal. Luke got his nose busted up badly, and I think he broke a few ribs. The day after, he went missing. We were word sick all the way back home. In the end, Luke sent Josh a note saying that he was out and the band was over. Personally, I think he felt guilty and sick with remorse, but could never admit it. Luke wasn't the same after that. I hope the book goes well. Okay. So those are all the titles. So when was the write-up in Rolling Stone? Because that was one of the titles I just spotted. Spring in one of the years. I don't know.
Chapter 3, Girl in the Band, read by the author. My first big gig was as the drummer in Pony Parade. I knew Josh and Luke when we went to Ramsey together.
Does that mean that's Girl in the Band?
Josh had moved up from Florida just before junior year with his mother. Luke had come over with his parents from Australia because his dad had a teaching job at the U of M. They both lived in Highland Park, but Josh lived on the nicer side of it, if you know what I mean. I was, by then, a real good drummer and loved rock music. I used to play live in a little country combo with my uncle, which the guys would come see and geek out over the guitar player. It must have been March of '95. We were all cutting class together down at the river.
So wait, March of '95.
The guys would come see and geek out over the guitar player. It must have been March of '95. We were all cutting class together down at the river when Luke mentioned he and Josh had been writing songs together and whether I wanted to form a band with them. I said absolutely. And that was how we formed Pony Parade. Later we got Eric on steel guitar, who was also real good. I was with the band all the way through, until we split in '97. I think Josh in particular took the breakup really hard. It was a real love affair. Him and Luke were very dependent on each other. But in the end, Luke thought of it as his band, and that he could break it up when he wanted. I don't think Luke really got over that. The last few months were kind of rough. But for me, when it was good, it was great. Of course, that was a while back, and there's been many bands since. But it still means a lot to me.
Okay. None of those titles seem to match anything that she was saying. That's when the band formed. But I don't know which of those titles. First and only tour. Powderhorn tour and fall in love with their car. Ben leaves afterwards. Josh recruits Ben into his new band, Powderhorn. Luke shows up at Josh's house unannounced. Luke leaves a message on Josh's answer machine. Luke wows the UK festival crowd but fails to impress the UK rocker. Big gig at the prom. Luke takes up the band. First child plays the Grand Old Opry and is arrested in the parking lot. Ah, there we go. So that's when they meet. They form the thing. Okay. Right. So we've got one. That's really loud. No, stop. I'd love to have music, but I can't turn the music down while keeping the voices up. So, we're playing this in silence, I'm afraid. I don't know what... Or do I need to listen to the songs? Like, how do I find anything? How do I do anything? Utah Honey got that review in Rolling Stone a few months after their record came out. Then they needed to go on tour. Okay. We need to know when this happened, really. But I don't know how... Like, do we need to listen to these? It's really loud. Utah Honey is the one that it was talking about somewhere here. Yeah. I can't understand the lyrics. Right, I'm hoping we don't need to listen to those because it's really loud and I can't understand the lyrics. So, this, Senior Prom, July 22nd. So that would perhaps be this. Pony Parade. So do we have Playing the Prom? Big gig at the prom? Maybe. Okay. And then... a few months after their record came out. So maybe the record came out in the January and they got the thing in... May or June or August. I'm just guessing at these now. And then a rolling stone somewhere. Hi, Haywood. How you doing? Maybe. And then they went on tour. Oh.
Chapter 5.
Oh!
Ethan Rice is now a safety supervisor at 3M, but when he was 18, for one brief and glorious moment, he was Pony Parade's tour manager. I met him at Cahoots in St Paul, opposite the music shop where he took a series of unsuccessful clarinet lessons as a child. He looks at me ruefully. Here to talk about my failures, eh?
So, Luke, Josh and Karen formed Pony Parade. By the time of his junior year, Luke Jackson had evolved in what his girlfriend at the time, Helen Becker, described... Does that mean evolved into? Quite a specimen. 6 foot tall with straight jet black hair down to his shoulders, Luke looked like he belonged in a Levi's advert more than in the halls of Ramsey. Band practice was often a grueling affair, stretching late into the evenings, sticky summer nights. Karen, in particular, remembered the smell of disinfectant in the school practice rooms and the sound of elderly cleaners arriving and then departing. Jeff Schultz owned a small recording studio in the North Loop of Minneapolis. As Karen's proud uncle and music guide, he'd often offered to open up the studio to Pony Parade. When they finally arrived, looking sweaty and bedraggled, he greeted them with an air of trepidation. Unstoppable, Luke bounded into the practice room with a copy of Rolling Stone in his hand. The magazine had just described Pony Parade as the most promising new band in America. The town was abuzz, and Luke had a wild look in his eyes. Ethan Rice is now a safety supervisor at 3M, but when he was 18, for a brief... Oh yeah, that's what she read. Okay. So then, the band broke up. Okay. Ah, now I've got more stuff. Ben's joining the band. I'm so excited. I honestly hadn't stopped thinking about this guy since I saw Bottle Rocket play at 1st and 7th last month. Jesus, what a player. Like some crazy Nils Lofgren picking shit that I haven't seen before. Then he got on the organ and I thought this is what we could be. Turns out the beer last night convinced him, so he's moving his stuff to our practice space. It's been 2 months since Luke put out his record and I've been really struggling with the feeling he's pulling away from us. His new stuff is honestly incredible, kind of scary. I'm going to need some allies if we're going to war. I think I found my first one. Luke is going to Nashville. Nashville, Texas. I thought Nashville was in Tennessee. I know nothing. I could be very, very wrong. But Nashville, Tennessee sounds right. Is there a Nashville in Texas? So March the 2nd, Nashville. That one? And then we've got some things to
It's
listen to.
Saturday, 28th of June. I'm Lucy Bramley. Welcome to Glastonbury Festival 1998, live on London Radio.
June 98.
I'm in a muddy field, just off by the other stage, with Julian Dean of Toploader. Jules, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
A lot of people are talking about Toploader as the next big thing. Think you'll be up there next year?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We've just seen Luke Jackson come off stage. He had a big hit right at the start of the year with Losing Sleep. What did you think?
Thought it was alright.
Just all right. Anything else?
Well, I think he probably owes Tom Waits a royalty check or two. Nick Cave's playing here tomorrow as well. Hope he doesn't hear about it.
All right, Julian, I'll let you go. Toploader's
hope Nick doesn't
self-titled
find
record
out.
is out now on Farcanal Records. Back to you guys in the studio.
Toploader are good. I like Toploader. Okay.
Sure. So, I'm also from London. I worked for a while at John Lewis and then got offered a role at Target Corporate in late 98. So I moved to Uptown in Minneapolis. I retrained in 2004 after our first baby, and now I'm a psychotherapist. I first met Josh a month before Christmas. I worked with a woman called
Excuse you?
Caroline, who I later found out dated Luke in high school. She wanted me to come along to her running club in Kenwood, and Josh was there. He's always had some anxiety, which he's tried to manage through various things, and at this point it was jogging. He'd released Chancey in February. It just hadn't quite gone how he'd wanted. People didn't think he'd found his voice yet, and Luke's immediate success was quite troubling for him. I found him to be a really open, interested person. He talked a lot about Ben, but he also talked about Luke.
Right, so if that's him moving, he must have set up Powderhorn. Right, Josh recruits Ben. This will be Josh recruiting Ben. But I don't know when. It's been 2 months since Luke put out his record. Okay. Is there something about Luke setting up a new band? That'll be Josh Meets Laurie. That's this, but I don't know what year that is.
He didn't seem angry, even though Luke had called him out in the press, but he did feel betrayed and seemed a little lost. I think our happiest time was around April 2001. The now famous Alfa Romeo was actually my mum's car. They thought the name was pronounced Alfa Romeo, like it was some NATO thing. I did tell them they'd got it wrong, but not before it had become the album title. You know, Luke and Josh have been through a lot, together and apart, but there's still a lot of love there. Just hope one day they can show it. Guys, eh?
So falling in love with the car. No, where did I just put that?
Sure. So, I'm also
sure.
from London. I worked for a while at John Lewis and then got offered a role at Target Corporate in late 98. So I moved to Uptown in Minneapolis. I retrained in 2004 after our first baby, and now I'm a psychotherapist. I first met Josh a month before Christmas. I worked with a woman called Caroline, who I later found out dated Luke in high school. She wanted me to come along to her running club in Kenwood.
Maybe.
And Josh was there. He's always had some anxiety, which he's tried to manage through various things, and at this point it was jogging. He'd released Chauncey in February. It just hadn't quite gone how he'd wanted. People didn't think he'd found his voice yet, and Luke's immediate success was quite troubling for him. I found him to be a really open, interested person. He talked a lot about Ben, but he also talked about Luke. He didn't seem angry, even though Luke had called him out in the press, but he did feel betrayed and seemed a little lost. I think our happiest time was around April 2001. The now famous Alfa Romeo was actually my mum's car.
Fall in love with
They
their car.
thought the name was pronounced Alfa Romeo, like it was some NATO thing. I
So
did
that's
tell
that
them
song.
they'd got it wrong, but not before it had become the album title. You know, Luke and Josh have been through a lot, together and apart, but there's still a lot of love there. Just hope one day they can show it. Guys, eh?
Right. Okay. I don't know how any of this. So I've got 5. Last time it clicked after 5, and I've got 5 in, so I must have got something wrong. Maybe that's not February 99, maybe that's February 01. No. If anyone's got any ideas, speak up, because I'm struggling a bit. That was then, right?
It's Saturday, 28th of June. I'm
Yeah,
Lucy
Glastonbury
Bramley.
98.
Welcome to Glastonbury Festival 1998, live on London Radio. I'm in a muddy field, just off by the other stage, with Julian Dean of Toploader. Jules, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
A lot of people are talking about Toploader as the next big thing. Think you'll be up there next year?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We've just seen Luke Jackson come off stage. He had a big hit right at the start of the year with Losing Sleep. What did you think?
Thought it was alright.
Just all right. Anything else?
Well, I think he probably owes Tom Waits a royalty check or two. Nick Cave's playing here tomorrow as well. Hope he doesn't hear about it.
All right, Julian, I'll let you go. Toploader's self-titled record is out now on Far Canal Records. Back to you guys in the studio.
Okay. I wonder if that's Al Bailey at lbramley.co.uk. I'm going to try it. Nope. It's not a thing. Okay. So this might be a different march. Maybe. Could be there. Or not. We've got a march there as well. I feel like that's got to be right. Yeah, so they were touring. Luke got his nose busted up badly and broke a few ribs. There was one about him getting his jaw broken, but that's not that. So I think that's got to be right. That they were touring then. And then Luke broke up the band straight afterwards. I don't know why this is saying those things when that's not there anymore. I don't know when Chauncey was released. Oh, he released Losing Sleep just before then. So is that one of these? No, I don't know where I've put that. I think that goes there. When did she say?
It's Saturday, 28th of June. I'm Lucy Jackson come off stage. He had a big hit right at the start of the year with Losing Sleep.
Right at the start of the year.
What did you think?
Right at the start of the year. With Losing Sleep. That didn't want to be there. That, oh!
Chapter 6. Luke returned looking bedraggled and like he hadn't slept in days. The rest of the band had endured a fitful journey back to Minneapolis, and they were afraid of what he would say. When he did speak, he seemed dazed and upset. The band was over, he said.
The popular high point of Luke's career seems to have centred around his Glastonbury his appearance at the Glastonbury Festival in '98. I was there too, interviewing an unimpressed member of an indie band. Luke brought a level of shamanic disquiet to a weekend otherwise suffused with hippie indie bands. Belgium was wonderful for Powderhorn. Despite rising tensions between Josh and Ben, the entire experience showed the band a different way of living. Away from the grinding winter of the Midwest, Powderhorn connected with fans they previously had no idea even existed. Luke had always felt insecure about his southern roots. Born and bred in Florida, his transposition to the north left him uneasy about how he was perceived. For him, the move to Nashville was both a sign he'd made it and also a journey back to the promised land. A few years after Luke released Losing Sleep came a movement called the Garage Rock Revival. Luke may well have felt that he got ahead of the trend, although he also generously admits that he was mainlining Nick Cave and the John Spencer blues explosion at the time. Okay. Ooh, Nashville Chief of Police. Right, so we're done with section 1. Huzzah! And what wasn't correct? That's not correct. Okay, so we'll clear that, because that didn't lock in. And that's not correct, so we'll clear that. Okay. So something happened between Losing Sleep and Glastonbury. Then this is 01.
Hello, everyone. As I'm sure many of you know by now, this evening our officers apprehended a white male in the parking lot of the Grand Ole Opry. I can confirm that said person was Luke Jackson, a musician who had been performing at the Opry. He is currently being held in custody, awaiting a court date in the morning. The Opry would like to make it clear that it does not condone these rock star shenanigans in any way and considers itself a family program with a zero-tolerance policy towards drugs of any kind. Any questions? No, he has not posted bail. Any others? What did I think of the Predators' result tonight? Well, I think it's a shame we lost 3-2 to Columbus. Always stings. But it's on to Dallas in a few days, and hopefully then we'll have a good chance against San Jose. What's that? Well, I guess you'll have to look that up on one of those search engines. Okay, that's enough. Good evening, everyone.
Presumably that's then. Because it says 01.
Hello, everyone.
Shh. Right, we've got some more here. Guys, we have a problem with Luke. The record is not moving anything at all since we released it this month. We can't get it on radio because it's too country, and we can't get it on country because, well, it's Luke. Also, since that deal at the Opry, he's been radioactive. I mean, what the hell is this record anyway? It's all acoustic guitar, pedal steel, where's the volume? And who the hell is this Susanna? Isn't that the girl we had interning a few months back? Anyone have something to tell me? I, for one, feel the artist we signed is not the artist we have today. I thought we were getting the White Stripes, instead we're pushing Johnny Cash. It's April, and I feel this has gone on way too long. Let's get this sorted quickly by the end of the month. If you have any objections, let me know. Otherwise, I think we need ourselves a new blues man. I'm off to Detroit to find the next Von Bondies. Apparently you can just find them lying out on the street. So April, was he dropped by his band? Ah, release of Alfa Romeo. Okay. No, we haven't got him being dropped. This is 05 by Lucy. Oh, this is by us, I think. I think we're Lucy Bramley. There's always been a question present in American music as whether to innovate or look back for the pure pleasure of nostalgia. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the alt country scene, where some bands have chosen to embrace ever more traditional instruments and subject matter, while others have moved towards more advanced post-Radiohead style sound sculpture. In particular, the relationship between two of its key players, Josh Moore and Luke Jackson, provides a fascinating encapsulation of this dichotomy. The former bandmates exist in radically different sonic and critical spheres. Powderhorn's progressive tendencies are regularly lauded by hipster magazines, even as they draw further into the world of indie rock. Meanwhile, Jackson has found an uneasy home for his musical love letters within the country firmament, who seem ready to kick him out at a moment's notice. Moreover, the two artists appear to draw great creativity and motivation from their fabled rivalry to the point of, I presume, releasing records neck and neck for the past few release cycles. At the moment, Powderhorn may be winning the commercial battle with their new record full of deeply personal songs like The Snow Angels and Kid in the Middle, but for me, Luke's epic new record full of string mandolins, choirs, and bang-on Lee Hazelwood impression is also one to be reckoned with. No one seems to know how this creative artillery battle is going to end up, but we should all take notice. I don't know how that helps me at all. Julia Jackson, a respected community artist and member of staff at the University of Minnesota, passed away this week. This is Luke's mother. So this is 03, but when in 03? Having moved with her son from Arkansas in 1995, Julia quickly established herself as an empathetic and dynamic member of the Berean Missionary Baptist Church, as well as selective hymns, working closely with Pastor Roa, a highly valued cleric at URM, where she undertook high-quality transcription services, as well as eventually teaching introductory English to foreign students. Says her son Luke, she was a wonderful mother who did everything she could for me. She gave me the gift of music and never let me forget about where I come from. She's remembered by Luke and her sister Elizabeth. So that's either August or September 03. But it doesn't say when. Okay. So Hmm. So that's... Oh, what does that say? Luke Jackson sings the songs of Luke Jackson. Oh dear. So I don't know what... Wait, we've got release of Alfa Romeo. So we might know when that is.
Sure. So, I'm also from London. I worked for a while at John Lewis and then got offered a role at Target Corporate in late 98. So I moved to Uptown in Minneapolis. I retrained in 2004 after our first baby, and now I'm a psychotherapist.
Would that be
I
after
first
that?
met Josh a month before Christmas. I worked with a woman called Caroline, who I later found out dated Luke in high school. She wanted me to come along to her running club in Kenwood, and Josh was there. He's always had some anxiety, which he's tried to manage through various things, and at this point it was jogging. He'd released Chauncey in February. It just hadn't quite gone how he'd wanted. People didn't think he'd found his voice yet, and Luke's immediate success was quite troubling for him. I found him to be a really open, interested person. He talked a lot about Ben, but he also talked about Luke.
Maybe.
He didn't seem angry, even though Luke had called him out in the press, but he did feel betrayed and seemed a little lost. I think our happiest time was around April 2001. The now famous Alfa Romeo was actually my mum's car. They thought the name was pronounced Alfa Romeo, like it was some NATO thing. I did tell them they'd got it wrong, but not before it had become the album title. You know, Luke and Josh have been through a lot, together and apart, but there's still a lot of love there.
So, release of Chauncey, she said, was in February. And it's got to be the February before they met. And they'd already met here. And then after that, we had Alfa Romeo. And there must be something about dissing in the press. Josh meets Laurie, so that is probably here. No, he'd released that already, so maybe Josh meets Laurie is here. Luke erupts on the radio? No? Maybe that's when Josh recruits Ben. Yes. We're getting there with the timeline.
Chapter 8. Ben Cotson had moved to Minneapolis when he was 4 years old. His mother had decided to leave South Africa, herself having moved there from Nazi Germany in the 40s. Ben never looked back. To those who knew him, the American experience was perfect for Ben, and he seized it with both hands. Out with rugby, in with football.
Chef Jessica Hemby stepped up to the podium and quietly ended Luke Jackson's career in country music. Of course, Luke had really done this for himself several hours earlier when he'd been arrested by two plainclothes security guards attempting to buy drugs outside his concert hall he'd been playing in just moments before. Ever since OK Computer, American bands have attempted to make their own version. Grandaddy's, The Software Slump, Tool's Lateralis? Alpha Romeo is a smalling, cerebral sonic gem that stood out from the other American rock music of the time. The tension between the new and the old in American music is not something to be underestimated. One may think that an Australian like Josh Moore would be given a free pass, but it was not to be. For many, the album Chauncey represented an uncomfortably middle ground between country and indie rock that pleased no one. Look, I'm not a big runner, Josh admits to me over a coffee at the Spyglass Cafe in Kenwood, where he and Laurie went on their first dates. It's just, I had to do something. Laurie's old flat lies around half a mile north next to the famous bookshop Magazine Quinn and a new Apple shop. Okay. Oh! Bad Mole! We've got some more interviews. So we're done with section 1. We're done with section 2. We're getting through it, guys. So the Bad Mole launch party is on 15th of May. With Lucy Miller. Powderhorn. So that's Josh's band. So that's in a May. May? Do we have anything about Bad Mole? Bad Mole label launch party. Yeah, so they're starting their new label. It might not be that May. Saturday the 15th of May. We could see what year May the 15th was a Saturday. I'm looking on my calendar. So, May 04. That's a long way to do it. May 15th, 2004. Was it a Saturday? It was a Saturday. Okay. So let's assume that was then. We've also got May 06 and May 08. But I'm assuming that we're going through in vaguely chronological order. Because we have been so far. Euclid stolen the cat cam, that's good. So we've got that. Let's listen to this.
Gene, hi, it's Ian here from Toe Jam Studios. Look, I'm sorry to have to leave a message like this, but your artist is totally out of fucking control. Sorry, he staggers in here yesterday, blind drunk and smelling like a chip shop doorway, calls our engineer an effing C, which hardly seems fair, and then proceeds to urinate in the corner of the bloody studio. And that's just the start of it. He then gets into a screaming match with his own bloody guitarist that descends into fisticuffs, during which he only went and broke our fucking sitar. That sitar belongs to Ravi Shankar's brother. It's a real pity. And now it's 3 days until Christmas. I've got studios smashed to shit, pissy carpets, and a traumatised engineer to try and glue back together in time for Westlife. And you know what they can be like. If you ask me, you need to put this chap of yours on a plane back to the States. I didn't call the police, because I know you like to give a chance to these waifs and strays, but I'm going to have to bill you for the sitar, I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope you can use some of the recordings for the February launch. Funny title, the record. Made me laugh. I hope it works. Anyway, all the best. Bye now.
We do know what Westlife can be like. February. So, the sitar was just before Christmas. And it's got a weird name. But it's a Luke Jackson one. I don't know. We don't know who did Nothing Is Forever and Better Days. Better Days is Luke Jackson, Nothing Is Forever is Powderhorn. Okay. We also don't know when she died. That was in 2005. So that's one of those three. That his mum died. So, you've been a guest on Nashville Talks a few times and I've got something to ask. By the way, I don't think I'm going to bother taking a break for the ads because it's a short game. So you'll just have to catch up when you're back. Or subscribe! And then you won't see the ads. Use your Prime sub. And then it's free. Luke, you've been a guest on Nashville Talks a few times and I've got something to ask. Yep, I'm listening. You've been quite, how can I say, quite vocal about your former bandmate Josh Moore, yeah? Well, there was a mention in the Inquirer a little while back about how you thought Powderhorn was kind of fake. And there was a time you said an Australian shouldn't be making American music. Do you care to comment? Look, I just say it how I see it. Well, I was just wondering what you thought about this. Obviously, you're a big Lee Hazelwood fan. Your album is kind of a tribute to the great man. Well, obviously. So here's a quote from Lee from last week. Just take a listen. To me, my favourite band at the moment is definitely Powderhorn. There ain't no point in copying me or anyone else. You've got to move on. What do you think of that? He said that? He did. Lee fucking Hazelwood said that? Luke, crash of chair, being turned over, shouting off mic. Dear fucking Christ, I cannot. Josh, if you fucking hear me anywhere, anytime, man, let's put the gloves out. Let's put on the gloves out in the parking lot. It's over, man. Luke, sit down. Cuts commercial. That was in 2005. So that's one of those three as well. Probably not February. Because that's when some music got released. You/Nothing Burger. Oh wait, honestly, of the 4PH records, my favourites are number 2 and number 4. The former's just gorgeous. Beautiful songs like Waylaid, Let It Go, Melt Into the Waves, Boredom is like freaking Radiohead, say 2002. The latter is just really great upbeat pop. Keys, Beach Boys harmonies, synths, keening vocals. Feels like Josh never sounded better. Feel like it's the sound of this summer going to be massive. Jackson has completely lost it there. So that's 2008. And something about summer. Okay. So. Yeah, so he was very into Lee Hazelwood. Were any of these mentioning Lee Hazelwood? Does this say when it was written? No. Alright, what titles have we got? There. Luke Rips on the radio after Powderhorn are praised by Lee Hazelwood. So that is this. Sometime in 2005. There was something talking about his mum dying. Where did we have about his mum dying?
Chapter 3, Girl in the Band, read by the author. My first big gig was as the drummer in Pony Parade. I knew songs together, and whether I wanted to form a band with them. I said absolutely, and that was how we formed Pony Parade. Later we got Eric on steel guitar, who was also real good. I was with the band all the way through, until we split in '97. I think Josh in particular took the breakup really hard. It was a real love affair. Him and Luke were very dependent on each other, but in the end, Luke thought of it as his band, and that he could break it up when he wanted. I don't think Luke really got over that. The last few months were kind of rough, but for me, when it was good, it was great. Of course, that was a while back, and there's been many bands since, but it still means a lot to me.
No, she didn't talk about it. Just
Sure.
something about when you had kids?
So, I'm also from London. I worked for a while at John Lewis and then got offered a role at Target Corporate in late '98. So I moved to Uptown in Minneapolis. I retrained in 2004 after our first baby, and now I'm a psychotherapist. I first met Josh a month before Christmas. I worked with a woman called Caroline, who I later found out dated Luke in high school. She wanted me to come along to her running club in Kenwood, and Josh was there. He's always had some anxiety, which he's tried to manage through various things, and at this point it was jogging. He'd released Chauncey in February. It just hadn't quite gone how he'd wanted. People didn't think he'd found his voice yet, and Luke's immediate success was quite troubling for him. I found him to be a really open, interested person. He talked a lot about Ben, but he also talked about Luke. He didn't seem angry, even though Luke had called him out in the press, but he did feel betrayed and seemed a little lost. I think our happiest time was around April 2001. The now famous Alfa Romeo was actually my mum's car. They thought the name was pronounced Alfa Romeo, like it was some NATO thing. I did tell them they'd got it wrong, but not before it had become the album title. You know, Luke and Josh have been through a lot, together and apart, but there's still a lot of love there. Just hope one day they can show it. Guys, eh?
Doesn't help me. It's this one that we haven't done anything about, I think. What the hell is this record anyway? It's acoustic guitar, pedal steel, where's the volumes? Do we need to listen to some of these?
You look like an angel, moon in your cigarette eyes. Tell me your secret, 'cause I don't want any more lies.
Ah, yeah, it says Luke Jackson, Susanna. Okay.
And I'm like the ocean, you're
So maybe
like
that's
the
here?
rain. And I wasn't born to lose you again, oh Susanna. Don't you ever, oh Susanna.
That says it's April.
Stations are fading, counterfeit.
So that would mean that it was released in March, but maybe they're being a bit... Oh, since we released it this month. Okay. So, that's there.
Come and go. The ages tumble. Oh, Caroline.
Kid in the middle. Losing sleep. Let it go. Let it go.
Midnight hour, I go wandering.
Right. So how many have we got in? 1, 2, 3. Need 2 more, I think, to lock it in. So. I don't know when you died. It was either August or September. Let It Go was in this one? No. This one? No. This one? No. This one? No. This one. So, Alfa Romeo was number 2. The latter is really great upbeat pop. Keys, harmonies, synths, keening vocals. I don't know if I'd recognise that. This one says something about a funny song name.
Gene, hi. I was on a plane back to the States. I didn't call the police because I know you like to give a chappy. I've got a studio smashed to shit, pissy carpets, and a traumatised engineer to try and glue back together in time for Westlife. And you know what they can be like. If you ask me, you need to put this chap of yours on a plane back to the States. I didn't call the police because I know you like to give a chance to these waifs and strays, but I'm going to have to bill you for the sitar, I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope you can use some of the recordings for the February launch. Funny title, the record. Made me laugh. I hope it works. Anyway, all the best. Bye now.
For the February launch. And this is Luke. Maybe it's that one. Luke Jackson sings the songs of Luke Jackson. But that's Oh Caroline. Epic. Oh, nothing is... Guess it's that? We don't have that. Because that's Powderhorn. That's Powderhorn. That's Powderhorn. That's Pony Parade. That's Powderhorn. So we've only got Better Days, Luke Jackson sings the songs of Luke Jackson, and Losing Sleep. So maybe. Question mark. And this is in 05. I'd assume that would be like before his album release? Or not. Oh.
Chapter 23. I've never been challenged to a fight before, says Josh. It was exciting, but also really, really scary. I don't want Luke coming over and beating me up. Nashville Talks Radio had been a staple of Luke's wilderness years, often allowing him on to vent his various frustrations.
Bad mole, name of record label, what does it mean? Well, he's a bad mole, isn't he? Josh smiles. I mean, what do these things ever mean? What it meant was independence from meetings and boardrooms and suits. Toe Jam Studios did not anticipate the whirlwind that was Luke Jackson in 2004 tearing through their pristine studio in Ealing, London. He left behind a damaged Indian instrument and a shattered studio manager. Since his arrest, Luke had become a difficult person to work with. His label had signed him believing they were onto a surefire rock star. Instead, what they got was a combination of George Jones, Frank Zappa and Howard Hughes. No one was prepared for this. I don't really know who any of those people are. Hot on the heels of Nothing Is Forever came Luke's musical magnum opus. Luke Jackson sings the songs of Luke Jackson, a tribute to 70s songwriters like Jimmy Webb and Lee Hazelwood. The album combined grandiloquent arrangements with contrastingly sparse sale figures. Okay, what have we got that's new? We don't have any new posters. We've got some new things to listen to and some new things to read. Obituary of Ben Cotson. Ben Cotson, celebrated local musician, has passed away on May 12th at the age of 42. So we want a May. It's got to be then. Ben, the child of South African Jewish emigres, was a child polymath who excelled in both sports and studies at Wayzata High School. An athletic scholar at Augsburg, he decided to leave college to pursue his love of music. A versatile multi-instrumentalist, he quickly made his name as a sideman par excellence. He is most well known for his role in Powderhorn, helping shape their Technicolor organ and synth-driven sound during the making of Chauncey, as depicted in the documentary I Like to Watch. In recent years, he struggled with both ill health and his own diminishing powers in the instruments he loved so much. His mother Rosa said Ben could have been anything he wanted, and what he wanted was to inspire people and bring them joy. He will be sorely missed by the thousands whose lives he touched with his music. Ben is survived by his son Aaron. Okay, so you are not that. So that 03. We still don't know when she died. That's 05. But I don't know what this is telling us. Hi Lucy, so Luke showed up at my house yesterday. When is this? It was Gracie's 5th birthday, so there were like kids and parents everywhere, and I was doing the barbecue and Laurie pulled me aside and told me that Luke was sitting in his Chevy in the drive. I was a bit scared at first, particularly after that time he challenged me to a fight in August, but I went out. That time he challenged me to a fight in August, so that was then. So would this be... That would make Gracie's 6th birthday... No, we can't put a baby in there. Would this be August 08? No, she couldn't be born in 02. She could be born in 03. So that could be that. That's not how you spell unannounced. He was just sitting there staring straight ahead at the steering wheel. So that would make... Hang on. So if it's her 5th birthday, that would make August 03. So then we could say first child, and then that would mean the mother dies then. Perhaps. But I went out. He was just sitting there staring straight ahead at the steering wheel. At first I thought he was angry, but he seemed kind of confused, like he didn't know where he was. I didn't want him to come inside with the kids and all, so I just stood stiffly by the car window in the 90-degree weather in my chef's apron, wondering what to do. His speech was badly slurred, and there was a mark on his neck like he'd had surgery. I couldn't make much sense of it. I think he said he was in town for family reasons. I guessed because of Julia. He also said he'd heard I was doing real well. I said things were okay, but just that. Then he sunk his head down on the wheel for like 5 seconds, sucked in a deep breath, picked it up, put the truck into gear and drove off. I saw him miss the stop sign at the end of the road. I'm pretty worried right now, to tell you the truth. Have you spoken to him recently? What do you think? Okay, well, I'm confused then, because that definitely says 03. I don't know. We'll put that in for now. What have we got? We've got 1, 2, we've got 4 in. So if we can find one more, then we'll see if that's right. This month, we're happy to say that the Kenilworth Trail opening this week, August 15th, so we'll be back on our 15-mile circuit around the Cedar Lake from next Saturday. Big thanks to Jean for organising the potluck cook-off. Sad my Seinfeld big salad didn't win, but there you go, eh? Massive congratulations to Josh, who celebrated his second child last week. We hope Laurie will be joining us again soon. Okay, let me Google Kenilworth Trail. Kenilworth Trail reopening. Um, 2026 it says. We don't go that recent. August 19th. I mean, we know it's in August. We've got that August. We've got that August. Maybe it's this August. Okay, so that's 5 in. But it's not locking in. Something's wrong. Okay, let's have a listen to this.
Hey, man.
This is
Just wanted to
08.
call and say sorry, you know. I didn't mean to upset you guys. It's just been a rough couple of years, you know. I haven't been singing since I broke my jaw. It's like 2 years ago in the spring.
2 years ago in the spring.
Just pills and pills and pills. I just can't get it together. Just so tired, man. You know, I did rehab. Did I tell you that? Last November. It helped for a while, but I heard about Ben last week. I know he had some of his problems. I'm so sorry. He was such a great guitar player. It's just, I don't know. Seeing you have all those things that I wanted makes me want them too, I guess. My little bro. We had a good thing going for a while, man. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I messed it up so badly. Anyway, it's kind of late, man. I guess I'll see you soon.
So I don't know if that was before or after he rocked up. That clearly goes there. Spring 2 years ago. But then he says he heard about Ben, but Ben was like in 06. This was in 08. Could be December 08. Maybe he's calling up to apologise for then. Oh.
Chapter 29. Emotions are quite difficult for me, says Josh. Laurie's helped a lot, but sometimes I think it's just easier
we
through
got the
my
children
music
right.
or to let other people have them for me. Luke was completely different. It was all on the surface. That message was just like that. It shook me.
It was the first time that I was really, really worried for Luke, says Laurie. I didn't see it, but apparently he was in a really bad way. Josh looked very disturbed by the encounter. He kept saying, I don't know what's going on for Luke. We both knew something quite serious was up. Josh and Laurie had Gracie at 10:30 on a Tuesday night. She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, says Josh. Within 2 days, they were back home celebrating with family. Julia Jackson was in many ways the rock of Luke's life. It was her hand that had guided the pair to Minneapolis, and she was the one who had encouraged Luke to take up music. Her death shook not only Luke, but Josh as well. He sensed an unmooring of Luke from his more grounding influences. Jeffrey Moore was born on August 21st, 2009. A small party was held at the Moore residence to welcome Laurie and Josh back. Champagne was drunk and Jeffrey shown off to parents and siblings alike. The mood was festive, though Josh at times seemed more restive, thinking of Luke. Okay, what have we got that's new? Not lots. Not a lot, just this. We haven't got much left to fill in though. Was there anything that we got wrong? Yes, that was wrong. Ben was wrong. May the 12th. Okay. We've got a May there as well. That makes more sense then. That he calls about Ben closer to the time. And then that could have been May that he got in a fight 2 years before. Oh, we haven't got much left to put in. What have we got? Isle Royale, first US headline tour, and Nothing Is Forever. Dear Josh, you asked us to keep you up to date with Luke's progress. We're happy to tell you he's been discharged from hospital. He has suffered serious but not life-changing injuries. Will be working on crutches for at least 6 months. I'd personally suggest, if this is my place, giving him a little time to recover before visiting. However, he spoke of you very warmly. I think he will greatly appreciate your company. That doesn't help me at all, does it? Because I don't have anything. 2010. I don't have anything new. So we don't know anything about when all this happened. Hot on the heels of Nothing Is Forever. Okay, so Nothing Is Forever had to go then. And then we've just got these two. I So, I mean, I could just put them in and swap them over if they're wrong. Ha-ha!
Chapter 24. Powderhorn's first online tour brought them a new audience.
Excuse
as
you?
well as a chance for Gracie to see what her father did all day. It was kind of funny having a little kid running around all these deserted theatres and ballrooms during sound check, says Josh. But it was kind of nice.
No idea what happened there. Ben Cotson's funeral was well attended by friends, old class members and musicians. The whole of Powderhorn were there in the front row, as was I. It was an overwhelmingly sad affair, one of young life cut short by ill health and circumstance. Everyone was in floods of tears afterwards and found it difficult to talk. It was outside Denny's in Fairview, says Luke's old girlfriend Rachel Muller. Luke had got into a verbal fight with a group of roughnecks, which they then took outside. Luke is a good talker, but he isn't much of a fighter. That was how he ended up with his jaw wired shut. Nothing is Forever represented a pivotal moment for Powderhorn as they went from a bit too country to be indie to a bit too indie to be country. Suddenly offers were coming from advertisers, promoters, indie magazines. We were up to our eyeballs in mustachioed hipsters, says drummer Gail. This is the house that Isle Royale bought, says Eric. His magnificent pinewood porch house hides an alarming number of large dogs that Eric keeps, feeds and occasionally contains. Once the album hit, I could get all the pinchers like Dobermans I wanted, he says proudly. Okay, what's that then? 6 months later.
Hey there.
Hi, Luke. Can I come in?
Yeah, sure thing. Come on in. I'll get some coffee on. Don't mind Mindy. She's only a danger to herself. No, you can. It's cool. You can leave those on.
Oh, did they make friends again then? That's nice. Don't know why we've got a black screen. Extra credit. Oh.
91.5 Sussex, I'm Dave Allen in the afternoon, and I'm very excited to
What?
welcome another musically oriented guest. Seems to be all we're having these days. Local author and journalist Lucy Bramley. She's just written a fantastic book on two
it's
American musicians
Lucy
called
Bramwell,
Rivals.
but
We'll
sure.
be discussing it, but first,
That says
Lucy,
Bramwell.
how are you?
This is
Very
Bramley.
well, thanks. Good to be here.
So, Lucy,
Bramwell.
to get right into
Bramley.
it, you wrote a book called Rivals about the musicians Luke Jackson
Dunno.
and Josh Moore, and their sometimes difficult relationship. How did you come to this project?
So I specialise in writing pieces on quite singular characters, but originally I
Ben.
was a music journalist. I first encountered Luke in 1998 when I was covering Glastonbury, and the first thing I thought was, wow, this guy is something different. He had shoulder-length black hair, thick beard, and this dark, brooding quality, totally different from the other bands there. You really sensed there was a story. Afterwards, I got chatting to his manager and found out the whole deal with Pony Parade.
And Pony Parade, that was Luke's band with
Neil.
Josh, wasn't it?
Yes,
Chairman of
Josh
the
and Luke
Joggers.
had met together at school. They had formed Pony Parade with Karen Olsen, who is now a fantastically successful drummer with bands like Bonnie Tyler and Aerosmith. At the time, they were producing what was called alt country, which is like country music, but a bit hipper and punkier.
Intruder
very different
Records
from
is
what you
rock.
get in Nashville.
And after a while, they went their separate ways, and at first Luke looked like he would be the successful one. And then he moved to Nashville, and things seemed to turn sour for him.
Luke became very obsessed by being accepted into the country firmament. In fact, he even played the Grand Ole Opry. Of course, then he was arrested and Sheriff Hemby held a press conference which effectively ended his country career.
And in contrast, Josh, who is Australian, may I say, becomes more of a mainstream star. You write blending country, indie and pop music, and Luke starts making more and more obscure music. You talk about this difference a lot in your book. What is the significance of this to you?
Well, to me, it's kind of a fundamental tension in American music between tradition and moving forward. It seems to me very interesting that frequently great innovators of American music are not actually American. For example, Neil Young, Robbie Robertson from the band, Leonard Cohen were all Canadian.
That's interesting. You talk about the band a lot as a sort of classic rivalry, an analogue pony parade. Would you care to comment?
To me, Josh and Luke were very much like Robbie Robertson and Levon Helm in the band. Josh and Robbie were foreign, while Luke and Levon are both from the southern states. I felt that Josh used Luke initially as a sort of a conduit into American music. Eventually, though, Josh surpassed Luke commercially because he was able to free himself from the trappings of tradition.
So, Lucy, what do you think makes a really
Church
good
minister.
musical rival?
Oh, Dave, well, there's been so many, haven't there? I would say that the most intense and interesting rivalries are between collaborators who need each other in order to be their best, but also kind of hate being so dependent. For instance, Noel isn't a star like Liam, but Liam isn't a writer like Noel. They need each other, but they don't want to. You see the same thing with Lennon and McCartney, Waters and Gilmour, Nicks and Buckingham. I got that sense with Josh and Luke, that Josh needed Luke's energy, but Luke needed Josh's sense of structure.
One more question. Did the record label pay for the sitar?
I'm afraid not, Dave, although I do believe that they paid for the carpets to be shampooed.
Lucy, thank you so much for coming on the show. Lucy Bramley's book Rivals is out on the 10th of August.
So it's said, sorry, I've been filling these in while that was playing in case you didn't notice. Praise of PP Percussion. I mean, he says it's a great drummer, so I'm assuming that's that. Chairman of the Joggers. We found Head of Intruder Records. These are all in these things. Ravi Shankar's brother was the owner of the sitar. I think he said.
Gene, hi, it's... And that's just the start of it. He then gets into a screaming match with his own bloody guitarist that descends into fisticuffs, during which he only went and broke our fucking sitar. That sitar belongs to Ravi Shankar's brother. It's a real pity.
Ravi Shankar's brother is Uday Shankar. No one's got the surname Shankar. And there's no scrolling. There's Ravi, Uday, Rajendra and Debendra. And none of them are there. So... You right, Puss? You okay, buddy? You got a cough? Yeah. You got a hair in your throat. good? Yeah, you're good. You got an itchy ear. Right. So I don't know about that one. Unless it's the recording studio guy who actually owns it.
Gene, hi, it's Ian here from...
Ian. It could be Ian. Member of Top Loader. That was here.
It's Saturday, 28th of June. I'm Lucy Bramley. Welcome to Glastonbury Festival 1998, live on London Radio. I'm in a muddy field, just off by the other stage, with Julian Dean of Top Loader. Jules, how are you doing?
Julian Dean. Okay. Ben in the E Street Band. Don't know what that's about. Scorer in the Columbus game. That was at the end here.
I guess you'll have to look that up on one of those search engines. And hopefully then we'll have a good chance against San Jose. I think it's a shame we lost 3-2 to Columbus. Always stings. But it's on to Dallas in a few days, and hopefully then we'll have a good chance against San Jose. What's that? Well, I guess you'll have to look that up on one of those search engines. Okay, that's enough.
Is that who scored?
Then we'll have a good chance against San Jose. Hopefully then we lost. What did I think of the Predators' result tonight? Well, I think it's a shame we lost 3-2 to Columbus. Always stings. But it's on to Dallas in a few days, and hopefully then we'll have a good chance against San Jose.
I don't even know what to Google for that. Laurie's friend. Was that here?
Sure. So, I'm also from London. I worked for a while at John Lewis and then got offered a role at Target Corporate in late 98. So I moved to Uptown in Minneapolis. I retrained in 2004 after our first baby, and now I'm a psychotherapist. I first met Josh a month before Christmas. I worked with a woman called Caroline, who I later found out dated Luke in high school.
Caroline. Never managing again. I don't know. I'm going to submit. See how we've done. That'll do. Cool. Well, that's us done then. Hope you enjoyed it. Short and sweet today. Sorry if I'm shouting. This music is really, really loud for me. I've turned it down for you. So hopefully you can still hear me. Hi Deathclaw, how is it going? Let's see if there is anyone around to raid. While you watch Euclid clean his bum. Gotta stay clean. JD is streaming. Let's go there. I've had to take my headphones out because I can't hear myself think. That is so loud. So, copy the raid message, paste it when we get there. Thank you all so much for watching. I will be back maybe tomorrow for more baby steps. Because tomorrow is bank holiday. We'll see. But definitely at some point during the week. Just keep an eye out. Thank you for being here, Deathclaw. And we will be back next Sunday for another Sherlock Sunday. So I'm amazed that Euclid stayed in the cat tower for the whole game. That's quite impressive, I think. That he hasn't caused any chaos. Oh, it's the music stopped. I guess the music stopped. I don't know, I've taken my headphones out. Anyway, I will see you, or when I see you. Until then, from me and Euclid. Euclid! Euclid! You say goodbye. Bye-bye.